All right, so excitement in the Indian diaspora. In fact, the word here in Washington, D.C. is that if Donald Trump is being tough on India when it comes to trade and reducing trade deficit and buying more American products, that India should emphasize the strength of the diaspora, their presence as far as a vote bank goes, and their contribution as taxpayers to the American society and the American government. Many people feel that Indian diaspora has a huge contribution to the US, and the Prime Minister must emphasize that point in those discussions. I'm also given to believe, and sources telling us this, that tomorrow there will be key bilaterals. In fact, Elon Musk, our sources tell us, would be calling on Prime Minister Narendra Modi, both in the capacity of Tesla CEO and also the head of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. At the same time, Mike Waltz, the US National Security Advisor, will be calling on Narendra Modi. So that's the big breaking information that we're getting you right now firsthand. Sources telling us that these are the key bilaterals that will take place. Tulsi Gabbard to call on Prime Minister shortly. Tomorrow will be Elon Musk and Mike Waltz. Let's see what happens over the next few hours. Let me go across to Sanjay Suri. Sanjay, you have been tracking this visit. Give us a sense of what you believe will be some of the big takeaways and some of the headlines that you're looking out for.
Well, you spoke of optimism a moment back, and I do hope you're right. What we've had this afternoon is an announcement from the White House, an announcement from President Trump. He said that he will be announcing reciprocal tariffs today, that is Wednesday, or on tomorrow morning, that would be Thursday morning. Now, either way, this announcement, if it were to proceed as President Trump has said it will, because these things change, and with Trump, anything can change anytime. But if that announcement were to come as Trump has announced it would, then necessarily it would have come before the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. And that can be awkward. This is a very serious issue for India. Reciprocal tariffs means simply that the US would impose tariffs as high on Indian goods as India does on US goods. On average, Indian tariffs are 6 to 7 times higher than the US imposes. So if that kind of equivalence were to be carried out, this can absolutely create an upheaval in the business relations and in the export plans of Indian companies and of India itself. So this is something to watch out for, exactly what Trump announces, and when one would have thought that with the Prime Minister here, right here in Washington, right next to the White House, the announcement may come after talks with Prime Minister Modi. It still may, but if this announcement were to come before the meeting with Prime Minister Modi, this is certain to create a lot of difficulties that India will have to overcome.
Right, and you're absolutely right, Sanjay, because Donald Trump is a man who is transactional. He wants concrete outcomes, and he always follows this policy of maximum pressure. And if there are reciprocal tariffs on India tomorrow ahead of that meeting, it only goes to show that he wants to create a lot of pressure on India to come to a fair trade agreement, something that's fair in his terms. So let's see what happens. But let's also tell our viewers, Sanjay, about what the Prime Minister has said on landing in the United States. He has gone on to tweet and said, landed in Washington, D.C. a short while back, looking forward to meeting POTUS, Donald Trump, and building upon the India-US comprehensive global strategic partnership. Our nations will keep working closely for the benefit of our people and for a better future for our planet. Now, let me go across to Sanjay once again. Sanjay, the feeling in the on the Indian side was, let's avoid a trade war at all costs. Even right now, as the Indian government, in fact, there is a delegation that has arrived here at the Willard. Some officials are there at the Blair House, speaking to Prime Minister Modi, chalking out the strategy for tomorrow. The hope would be to make sure that the reciprocal tariffs don't hit India, first of all, and if they do, the impact is minimal. India has been preparing a list of concessions across 12 sectors. Do you think that will really appeal to Donald Trump? Many say that we're late in offering concessions on Harley-Davidson, on high-end luxury cars, because that conversation was long over. Trump wants much more. What do you think Donald Trump will demand from India in that big meeting that takes place tomorrow?
Well, this is quite the correct position naturally for India to take. India has been anticipating this, preparing for this, preparing concessions, not just by way of tariffs, offering to buy a lot from the US, agricultural products, security goods, and cooperation in the nuclear field with a good deal of investment and expertise from India. So India has been making all these moves as it rightly must. And of course, trade is only one aspect of this. That falls within a wider relationship, and there the political and strategic interests of India and the US have been converging for some time, particularly over the Pacific region. So India clearly will be seeking to build on that. And it's quite possible that this will proceed in parallel with the more difficult negotiations on the trade front. So politically and strategically, there is a lot to be done. And as you've been pointing out, important bilaterals coming up with Tulsi Gabbard heading intelligence, Waltz heading security, Musk, of course, the man of the moment, the man of the United States these days. And he is very well disposed towards India and towards Indian business, particularly over the H-1B visa issues. So we have, by way of allies or people within the US administration, very powerful voices to speak up for India. And these bilaterals will certainly strengthen that kind of relationship. But really, this will need to get past Trump's determination or declared determination on reciprocal tariffs. And it's quite possible that he will have stated an extreme position and then step back from it and use that as a negotiating tactic. Certainly, the Indian government will hope that that is the case, because should it be that, then certainly Indian officials will be able to try and work out some sort of compromise. That certainly will be the aim, to work out a compromise on the trade front and to build already strong ties on the political and strategic front.